Namaste and a hearty welcome to Soft Talk. In this episode of the program, I'll be talking about revolutions that Nepal has undergone and their impact. So let me start the program. Like Saturn, the revolution devours its children. That is what Jacques Mallet du Pan said. This Mr. Du Pan is a French political journalist. He is a prominent essayist. He was born in 1749 and died in 1800. This gentleman was referring to this French Revolution that uh, ended the monarchy and established Napoleon Bonaparte as the ruler of France. Let me talk a bit about this Greek mythology. It will be contextual. This Cronus or Saturn, according to the Greek mythology, is the youngest among the first generation of the Titans. The Titans, they are 12 children of Uranus, that is heaven, and Gaia, that is the earth. As per the mythology, Cronus, on the advice of his mother, Gaia, castrated Uranus, separating the heaven from the earth. Uh, he then became the king of the Titans and took his sister Rhea as his wife, begetting Demeter, Hestia, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. As per the mythology, Cronus devoured his own children. Apparently, Cronus swallowed those babies, save Zeus, because his parents had warned that he would be overthrown by his child. But when Zeus was born, Rhea acted quite cleverly. She hid Zeus, she hid Zeus in Crete and somehow made Cronus swallow a stone. Zeus grew up, waged a war against his father, and defeated him. The youngest of the Titans also made Cronus disgorge his brothers and sisters. So much for the Greek mythology. For revolutions, history is testimony to the fact that they devour their own babies. Take the assassination of Leo Trotsky after Joseph Stalin's rise in Russia, that is after the Russian Revolution which exterminated Tsar Nicholas and his whole family. In fact, in these pandemic times, there is no need to travel around the world to prove this maxim. A grim history of our very own revolutions that happen almost every decade, offers clinching proof in support. All we need is a little bit of time to read or reread and contemplate on some of the vital chapters of contemporary history. This history is marked by the 1950s revolution that abolished the monarchy and established multi-party democracy with monarchy, the 1990s movement for multi-party democracy with constitutional monarchy, the decade-long Maoist insurgency, the roughly decade-old revolution that overthrew the monarchy and established a federal democratic republic through a popularly elected constituent assembly. Some of the larger than life figures behind these changes of Himalayan magnitude have lost their lives in mysterious circumstances, not to mention the rebels of different hues and colors in the decades that have political instability as their defining feature. If death of dreams of successive generations is to be taken into account, along with the wastage of decades, the losses would be simply incalculable. All that these revolutions have done is to prove that the more things change, the more they remain the same. All that they have done is made Nepali youths, the real heroes, sacrifice their lives so that a bunch of cowards may live, rule, and amass fortunes for their progenies at the expense of Nepal and the Nepalese. The course of all these revolutions has been boringly similar all along. Some progressive members of the middle class that are in any way close to the ruling establishment of the day start their struggle for change. In course of time, hundreds of youths, hundreds of thousands of youths join the struggle as myopic rulers seek to crush the rebellion instead of striving for a negotiated settlement. With generous helping from foreign powers, the revolutionaries come to power and start fighting for the spoils, making foreign powers stronger than ever. As rulers engage in dirty games to remain in power, they become even more corrupt than their predecessors, making way for revolutions that are more violent than ever. Revolutions that end up further weakening Nepali sovereignty and strengthening further the vice-like grip of foreign powers in Nepal. The mere fact that our revolutionaries of all hues and colors, at the beck and call of a neighbor, clearly shows that these struggles, these revolutions, are not solely for the realization of what I would like to call the Nepali dream. On the contrary, they seem to be a part of a pan Asian strategy to curtail or delay the rise of Asia, with an instability plagued Nepal acting as a launchpad. On one hand, this neighbor strives to have a more decisive say in the affairs of Nepal. On the other, it acts on behalf of certain foreign powers against another of Nepal's neighbor. This double game is not helping Nepal at all. Once again, it would be contextual to draw from the wise Du Pena, who said, revolution leads to hope, hope to frustration, and frustration to fury. For quite long, Nepal has been swinging violently between two extreme points, the winter of discontent and the summer of unrest. During the grim winter, people seek to remain indoors to protect themselves from cold instead of hitting the streets against ever soaring market prices, malgovernance, and corruption. Come summer, with their blood boiling. They hit the streets demanding all good things for all good people: good governance, an end to corruption, rule of law, and affordable education. The list goes on. The lockdown and the shutdown imposed to control the coronavirus pandemic have worked well when it comes to preventing this season from turning into yet another season of unrest. Unlike in previous years, though there are ample reasons for the public to seethe with rage: unabated corruption, malgovernance, lack of rule of law, and rising unemployment resulting from the slump at home and migrant receiving countries the world over. Once the pandemic subsides and normalcy starts returning, this pent up outrage is likely to fuel another round of unrest. Of course, with support or instigation from domestic political parties and foreign powers with diverse, often conflicting agendas. Sadly, I see no light at the end of this tunnel. I see the opposite happening unless we mend ways. For a change, how about not leaving this country at the mercy of leaders, given that this country, or any country for that matter, is too important to be left to politicians alone? How about seeking accountability from them? How about making every vote count instead of swapping it with small favors like wads of cash, offer of some plum job, or a much sought after contract? Is it asking for far too much? With this open question, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk. Uh, Please subscribe to my channel, comment on my presentation, and like it. Press the like button if you really like the presentation. And do not forget to offer your comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.